back to the Mobility Project. I'm sorry to do this to you, but it's time we had an honest talk about the session with mobility. In fact, making a video a day for a year has made me a little bit crazy. In fact, I see mobility implements and instruments everywhere. In fact, I was shopping for my dog the other day, and I found the Chuck It 3-pack. 3 times the ball fun, 3 times the fun. Anyway, what's interesting about this Chuck It is this gives me one toy for my dog, one for my other dog, one for me. What's particularly salient is that one of these is very soft, one of these is a little bit harder, and one of them appears to be made of stone. And that's good because for about 10 bucks, we now have 3 different durometers, balls, and 3 different ways for me to kind of crank into my business. And I like this Chuck It ball because it's really soft and a little bit sticky, maybe a little bit stickier than the lacrosse ball. So take a look at Chuck It. Sometimes it's hard to find a lacrosse ball, but you can always find a dog toy, part of your home device, and you can share it with your friends. Here's what we've got going on tonight. Take your lacrosse ball, take your Chuck It dog toy, and we're going to do 2 horrible drills, and I'm sorry this to you. First thing is we're going to work on kind of freeing up the rib. I want you to kind of divide the regions around the scapula and the 2 regions. The first kind of about middle of the border here up is what's one of the reasons that as my shoulder blades comes up, I need to be able to flex out of the way. And so if I'm a little bit stiff, particularly this first rib all the way down, kind of for the first 3 or 4, you're going to find that that really limits that overhead position and scapular retraction. But the lower trap is really responsible for stabilizing the scapula as I go into internal rotation. If I'm stiff or I wing out and I don't have access to this lower kind of trap, lower rhomboid musculature, I can't really pull onto that shoulder blade. So it turns out that if I'm missing internal rotation and I free up some of this lower rib stuff, it's easy to work on. So 2 kind of quadrants today on each side. We're going to work high-low on both sides, and it looks like this. Set the clock. You're going to go. This is going to be a long piece. We're going to go kind of 4 minutes a section, 16 minutes total. So I'm going to start up high, and I'm just going to work through. Now, I'm kind of postulating that I'm working on the rib here. By getting in, I can drive my butt up, try to tack that rib down. As I move the arm, I feel like the rib is coming out of the way, and it's pretty gnarly. What you'll see is that if the arm breaks, this is one of the same breaks we see that happens in people when they're doing pull-ups. They're stiff and can't get overhead. This is a kind of a cheat. The shoulder comes forward into rotation, the elbow bends. Now I have a mechanism for gnarliness. So arm straight, up by the side. I can even do the D1, D2, P and F pattern if I want to tack it in there. The other thing that's happening is I'm doing an active tack and stretch. I'm basically tacking down my rhomboids, tacking down that soft tissue, and pulling that tissue past. So I get kind of a 2-in-1 here. As soon as I'm cleared there, I'll move up a section. Oh, now that's a bad spot. And I'll go back and forth like it's being stabbed in the back by a vicious dog toy. Not cool. And I'm going to go back and forth here. And then once I start to kind of weed out that, I'm going to go ahead and go hand behind the back, and then stick that ball in that lower quadrant we were talking about, and I'm just going to roll around. It's tough to get me moving through here. I can't really move my arm on it. I can kind of go internally. I can kind of twist into it, and then I can just move back and forth. I can really wind my hand up and then continue just to mobilize by rolling back over. I know the shoulder comes up a little bit, but this is your homework. You got 16 minutes. All we're going to do is focus on getting that shoulder back into a better position. And you can see, even just after a little bit, this shoulder is, pec is further open, shoulder's better retracted. I'm in a more mechanically advantageous position. You can see the difference on my hand in just that couple minutes, to maybe 1.5 inches, but it just sets me back. My bench press stroke is shorter, my overarm head positioning is more effective, and I have improved my internal rotation. And I've improved it on a side where I'm not quite as, usually I'm a little bit less flexible. That's what's at stake. See mobility everywhere. Don't go insane. Talk to you tomorrow.